Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Mazwati. My name is Izzatun Nadira binti Azizi. Me alongside my crewmates Nakibul Ashraf, Cik Aidil Irfan, Siti Mariam and Khaira Jamila will be presenting the assignments of 6 thinking hats on the title of the impact of movement control order MCO on life. So in this particular presentation, we will be focusing on students' life. So this presentation will be start off with the presentation of White Hat by Muhammad Nakibul Ashraf.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nakib Ashraf bin Ismail and I'm from section 53. So today I would like to discuss an issue by using white hat. So what is white hat and how to use white hat? So white hat is actually one of 6 thinking hats that we can use to improve our thinking skills and to solve a problem. So the way that we can use white hat is actually we need to seek and gather factual informations and data related to the issues, and then from all the informations and data that we have gathered, we need to analyze in details on what is the issue all about. So before we go straight to our discussion on the issue, it is better for us to know first why actually MCO has been implemented in our country. What is the reason of implementing MCO in our country? So basically, there was a virus named COVID-19 attack our beloved country Malaysia, and this COVID-19 is an infectious disease that caused by a newly discovered family of coronavirus. This family of coronavirus are actually known to cause respiratory infections in humans, and the severity of the infections may be severe, such as pneumonia, acute respiratory syndrome, and the worst case, it can cause death. So this virus or this COVID-19 actually was emerged when mysterious cases of pneumonia were detected in the city of China, Wuhan, on 31st December 2019. However, the researchers are still not sure on what is the cause of the COVID-19. Besides, this virus also known to mainly spread through close contact from person to person and through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes or even talk. And this virus also may spread by touching a surface or an object that has the virus on it. And as we know, this virus was widely spread nationwide to 210 countries and even more. And the worst part is our country, Malaysia, is one of the infected countries of this coronavirus. So actually on 24th January 2020, the first case of COVID-19 was detected in our country, Malaysia. So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, our government had taken preventive measures in order to prevent the virus from keep on spreading through our country. As a result, the government had implemented MCO as the preventive measures to prevent the virus from spreading. So what does it mean by MCO? MCO here can be defined as movement control order, or also known as lockdown or partial lockdown. MCO has been introduced in our country and had in force on 18 March 2020, and there are 7 phases of movement control order in total. So the first phase of movement control order is from 18 March to 31st March 2020, and the second phase of movement control order is from 1 April to 14 April, and the third phase of movement control order is from 15 April to 28 of April, and the fourth phase of MCO is from 29 April to 3rd May. So next, the fifth phase of MCO will be from 4th May until 11th May. So during this phase, actually, the number of cases of coronavirus or COVID-19 had been significantly increased, and during this phase, MCO is no longer MCO, but it's already upgraded to CMCO, or also known as conditional movement control order, in which during this phase the movement control order will be more strict, as the number of virus or infected person in our country had been increased. And during the next phase, which is on the sixth phase, it is still a conditional movement control order, which take into place from 12 May until 9 June, in which it's still a conditional movement control order because the number of cases still keep on increasing time by time. And during the last phase, or the seventh phase, it is no longer a conditional movement control order, but it changed to recovery movement control order. So basically, this RMCO, recovery movement control order, had been enforced from 10 June until 31st August. So since our country managed to reduce the number of cases time by time after undergone 2 phases of strict movement control order, and the government finally had implemented recovery movement control order, since our country began to slowly decreasing the number of infected person. And during this phase, actually, majority business sectors are allowed to resume their operations as usual with a strict standard operating procedures. So due to this COVID-19 and movement control order, all schools and university need to be closed. Means that there will be no physical class or face-to-face class at all during this pandemic. And however, since our country managed to reduce the number of cases time by time, especially during the 7th phase of recovery movement control order, the government had reopened the primary and secondary schools. However, the government reopened these primary and secondary schools by way of phases. So basically, during the recovery movement control order, all business sectors, industries, and schools can resume their operation, and that is the reason why the government had reopened the primary and secondary schools. So, as I mentioned earlier, the government reopened the primary and secondary schools by way of phases. So, this will be the phases of reopening the schools. So, the first phase of reopening the schools was started on 24th of June, where the government reopened the schools for students who are taking their public examinations this year, such as Malaysian Certificate of Education, SPM, Malaysian Vocational Certificate SVM, Malaysian Higher School Certificate STPM, Malaysian Higher Religious Certificate STM, and any other equivalent schools examinations. And the second phase of reopening the schools was started on 15 July, where the schools for Form 1 to Form 6 students had reopened. And not to forget, the removed classes or kelas peralihan also reopened during this phase for secondary schools. And besides, during the second phase also, the primary schools had reopened for the year 5 and year 6 students. And next we will go to the third phase of reopening the primary and secondary schools, or the third phase can also be considered as the last phase, started on 22 July. And during this phase, all primary schools and all secondary schools had fully reopened. Unfortunately, university students have to undergo online classes and online assessment throughout this semester and throughout this pandemic period. This is because there was no order from the government that the universities will be reopened very soon. However, some students who have internet connection issues or problems, and their course required them to use the facilities in the universities, such as architecture students who need to use studio and so on. So these students were allowed to stay on the campus, but they need to follow the strict standard operating procedure that being provided by the government. So basically, this is from my observations in International Islamic University Malaysia, Gombak. So the issue that we want to highlight in this discussion is actually the effect of movement control order in our education system. So I think these are all related informations and data that I managed to find by doing some research and observations. So I think that's all for the discussion on the issue by using white hat. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Now we'll go to the next hat, which is the presentation of red hat. So first and foremost, we will see what is the meaning of red hat, or what does red hat signify. Red hat actually signifies feelings, hunches, and intuition. It allows people to put forward their feelings without justification or prejudice. So in this red hat, we will put forward our feeling without the need of justifying or explaining why do we feel or why do we have that gut on that kind of particular feeling. So applying this to our present situation, which is the impact of MCO, how do I feel about MCO right now? I am obviously sad and anxious about MCO. I am also feel happy because I got to spend time with my family. So regarding the hunches and intuition, I have a gut feeling that many students are mentally affected by MCO, and I also found out that this movement control order actually opened discovery of how severe family violence can be and how severe one can be abused at home by their own parents or by their own brothers and by their own family. And this MCO, I feel like many might be protesting on the prolonged MCO. The prolonged MCO is due to the fact that the number of cases is not zeroing, and it still continue despite not so many compared to before.
So now I am going to present the yellow hat thinking. So what is the yellow hat thinking? So the yellow hat thinking helps us to think positively, and also it is the optimistic viewpoint that helps us to see all the benefits of the decision and value in it. So yellow hat thinking also helps us to keep going when everything looks gloomy and difficult, especially during this time of pandemic and COVID-19. So now we're gonna look at what is the positive side of a movement control order or advantages in education, especially online learning to students. So the first thing is that the positive side of MCO is that online learning brings education right into our house. So online students often find that their family and friends get involved in the course, and oftentimes a student will study with that special someone present, and children may take an interest in the online environments. Parents may look over the shoulder of an online student while they are surfing across the web. In short, everyone in the household gets involved in learning, and having the support of the family and friends makes the student more likely to succeed. So the second positive impact of MCO, especially in online learning, is that online learning is convenient. So the biggest advantage of online course is that the classroom and instructor theoretically are available for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the only excuse for missing class is not getting online. Otherwise, everything is available to the students. The students can get announcement, access notes, review assignment, take practice quizzes, even discuss question, chat with fellow friends, and study anytime they want. Other than certain due dates, the student can meet their own schedule for completing the requirement of the course. So the next positive impact is that online learning is flexible. So the students can study at any time they want. They can study with whoever they want. So the student can also study wearing anything they want. So online courses give the student the flexibility to spend time with work, family, friend, and significant others, or any other activities that they like. So the next positive impact is that online learning offers more individual attention. So why? Because the student will have a direct pipeline or guide to the instructor via emails or any other. So the student can get their question answered directly. So many students who are not comfortable asking question in class for fear of feeling stupid, so the internet will eliminate that fear. So as long as the student feels comfortable with the instructor. So many times students think of a question after a class or while they are studying. So rather than trying to remember to ask it or forgetting it, so student can send an email to the instructor. So the student's opportunity to learn is enhanced. So next, online learning gives the students real world skills. So why is that so? Because the student will be able to include email and web browsing as technical skills on their resume later. So that gives the student a definite advantage over someone who doesn't have these skills. So learning how to get information via the internet opens up a world for possibility for student personal and professional life. So they can find job online, get college application online, make travel plans, and everything online. So next, online courses have their financial benefits. Why? Because although students may think that buying computer and paying for internet access is pretty expensive, so consider what it would cost them in gas and parking each month if they were driving to campus. So consider the cost of eating out versus eating at home. So these are very tangible benefits of having access to education at home. So the student can save money. Uh, Next, uh, the last one, the positive impact of MCO or movement control order, especially in online learning, is that online learning teaches students to be more self-disciplined. Why? Because this self-realization propels that the student's success in an online course. So no one is there looking over their shoulder to tell them to go online and study. No one is there to make them ask questions or post responses. So the motivation to study in an online course come from the student themselves. So it is something called as student-centered or active learning. So the online student takes responsibility for their courses of studies and matures into an individual for whom learning and accomplishment are highly valued. So in short, their success depends on themselves. That's all.
Assalamualaikum, and I bid to Professor. Okay, so this is a black hat. The black hat actually is a hat that means caution and critical view on something or an idea or a plan in a meeting, for sure. So the definition for black hat is the hat that used to identify any potential problem and difficulties in issue, and it also highlight the risk, the danger, or the negative outcomes, and also the weakness of the proposed idea in our plan or in our meeting. So with the presence of black hat that contain a critical view or a stern judgment, this will allow us in making decision to eliminate certain risks or prepare contingency plans to counter them in future if we had faced a risk, a difficulty in execute the plan. So in applying to the MCO, we can see that the black hat as a caution and critical view, we can see that it is used for negative outcome or risk of the movement control order on student life. So basically, when we use the black hat uh, as head on this topic, MCO on student life, we can see there are a few negative outcome from MCO. First, we can for sure we know that student cannot continue their study as usual, which is they cannot be able to study inside the class, go to the university, go to the kuliah. So they cannot continue their study as usual as a normal student. And this bring to the alternative method, online learning, which is the negative outcome or the risk if we apply this method, the alternative method of learning. Not all students have an access, especially the student at rural area. And the third negative outcome from the MCO on student life is students will have difficulties to retrieve hard copy materials from library. Yes, they have e-library. However, there's certain material which is can only be found in hard copy, and it's also we make a person, students face difficulties to retrieve these materials, and some students also will be trapped inside the campus, as we should know, in early of the MCO, where the people live in Borneo, but they study at the Semenanjung, Malaysia, so they cannot they cannot have a flight to their home at Borneo, so they were trapped in the campus. And also, some students need to stay in campus far from their family because they need an internet access for the online method, uh, alternative method of online learning. And then also, by the application of movement control order, the student also have facing restriction to participate in students clubs activities or students societies activity, which is it is necessary for the student life, for them to build their potential. And also when they had been restricted from participate, they have no activities to do, then risk that will come out if we apply MCO on student life is the mental health issue will increase. And of course, this issue had been raised in a certain university, and in UIA also some schools had concern about this matter. And the difficulties to make presentation and group assignment, where like us right now, we need to make a presentation via Zoom, we are online, there is having some difficulties, technicalities, and uh, unstable connection of internet. So this is difficulties or risk uh, if we apply MCO on student life, and also make our assessment on carry mark assessment, continuous carry mark assessment be affected. And also lastly, the students' commitments will increase and will be burdened as they stay at home, because when they at home, they not only have commitments to study, but they also need to manage their family. For certain people, where they need to take care of their younger sister or brother, younger sibling, also need to take care of their older parent in some certain case, which is make the focus of the students for them to study uh, being lowered, and also there's many commitments and burden will increase if MCO apply on student life. That's only for the back head. We proceed to the next head.
Assalamualaikum Dr. Mazwati. I'm Khaira and here I will proceed with the next hat which is under green hat. So basically this green hat is specified for a creative thinking hat where people will use this hat in order to generate, create and even exploring new creative ideas and seeking another alternatives and possibilities in order to provide and find a better solution on a particular issue. And for example, the issues of the impact of movement control order on the student's life. Or in the other words, this green hat is used to find a solution to get rid the risk identified in the black hat mentioned by my friend earlier. So usually there are two common questions that will be asked under this hat, which are what are some possible ways to work this out and what are some other ways to solve the problems. To put it simply, what are the best solutions in order to counter all of these problems. Therefore, based on our findings and discussion, there are 5 possible ways that can be used in order to counter these problems. First, each of the kuliah can create one online platform specifically for that particular kuliahs only. For example, kuliahs of laws can create a proper website for a students of law references only. On that website, it will be divided into 4 sections. First section is for first year students, second section is for second year students, and it goes until the fourth section, which is for the fourth year students. So basically, all of the lecture from all of this year can just upload all the recorded lectures and all the notes, all the important informations on that particular website. Actually, it is more constructive as all the lecturer will just put all of the important notes on that particular website and it is easily assessed by the students as the students will just refer to this one particular website only in order to get all of the notes and so on and so forth. And it is actually fair because no student will be left out in getting all of these references because as we all know the impacts of the MCO cause the students to be limited in their references because most of their textbooks and even important notes was left in their respective room in the campus. So this will be a better idea to the students to get a proper references from their lecturer and their kuliah. The second idea is to allow the student who do not have an access to the online learning, and it is also included to the students who wishes to return to the campus even though they have an ability to access to the online learning. It is because the main purpose in providing the solution is to reduce the burden on the students despite of their financial ability. As for the students who do not have and access to this online learning, it is not really a problem to them because their reason is sufficient enough for them to return to the campus. But for the students who is mentally incapable in facing these new norms, which is the online learning, it will be harder for them to return to the campus because due to their financial condition. But we need to cater the issue from various perspectives because we know that not all of the students manage to study at the same time they need to do another work. For example, house chores and taking care of their siblings, or sometimes they need to face their personal family problem, which all of the problem will cause burden and makes them become less motivated to study harder and excel in semester. So by allowing these types of students to return to the campus, of course, according to the guideline which has been provided by the government, which is the SOP, it will somehow reduce the problems suffered by students from various conditions and situations. The third idea is each of the university are required to create one online platform for counseling session for their respective universities. For example, the UIE can create one specialized apps for a counseling session for the UIA students only. The student can just reserve the date and choose the counselor that they want to hear their problems and help them out. And and this app is more convenient, is as it easier the students to communicate with the counselor, and it is as easier to the university management as well, as they can retrieve all the students who have um, problems in during this movement control order period. And it is a better step for the university to counter the depressions problems among the students at their particular universities. The fourth idea is to create a website called Buddies Care, where this website is specifically for the students use only. So basically, this website can be used by all of the students from various universities all around the country because usually the students are not really comfortable to talk about their problems with their parents or with their siblings or even um, with their lecturer and the counselor itself. So some of the students are more comfortable to talk their problems with the person who are in the same position as them. So therefore, this website is great to provide a comfortable and convenient platform for the students to have a communication between themselves. And last but not least, the governments can create one campaign which normalize the supporting system environment in the society through the social media, radio, television, and so on and so forth. Because as we all know, this pandemic caused a harder period to all of the people around the world, especially for the students, as the students will become less motivated to excel in this semester as they felt that they do not really have enough supporting system, especially in these kinds of environments. So the main purpose in spreading this campaign is not only for the students itself, but it also to educate the other people, the parents, the workers, the older people, the younger children about the importance of giving support to the other people in the harder time, as it will give a positive effect to the physical and mentally outcome. So basically, based on our findings, it is really important to give a solution from various aspects, especially from the physical aspect and the mental aspect, as the mental and physical is actually a package for oneself. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Maswati. It's me again, Izzati Nadira. So I will be continuing this presentation of 6 thinking hats with the last hat of this assessment, which is the blue hat. So first and foremost, we will see what does it mean by blue hat, or what does blue hat represent. So blue hat actually represents the process control. The responsibilities of blue hat is organizing the whole process and structuring the process of the discussion. So the blue hat is used to think about thinking. It sets the agenda, the focus and sequence, and usually the conclusions or summaries will be drawn out or will be obtained by the blue hat thinker. So simply speaking, blue hat is the one who manage or organize the other thinking hats, and it collect the ideas, the data, the informations from other from the other 5 hats, and it will come out with the structure plan of action and draw the solution or conclusion from the ideas obtained from the other hats. So in applying this blue hat in our current situation, which is the impact of MCO towards the student, after seeing the discussion made by the other hat thinkers, especially the uh, black hat and the yellow hat, we can see that the negative outcomes has outweighed the positive outcomes, even though it is undeniable that there are many positive outcomes of MCO towards students, especially for the online learning, such as it offers the flexibility, conveniency, financial benefits, and so on. We cannot deny and we cannot put aside the fact that the negative outcomes are clearly more compared to the positive outcomes. Why? Because during MCO, in doing the online learning, many students are facing the problem in internet accessibility, the study efficiency, the and most importantly is the mental health problem. And looking the discussion brought forward by the red hat thinker, that the intuition that many might be facing mental health problem is proven after we have seen the discussion brought forward by the black hat. So after seeing this, I come with the solution or the action plan that we can see that the university will provide online counseling session and a proper platform for study reference. So by doing this, the student will be helped and will be getting help in managing their mental problem, in managing their study, without them being too stressful in pursuing their university studies while being in MCO. So I think that's all for the blue hat. Thank you.